One on Skyscraper. They are 1-0 up at the minute in this best of 5 grand final here in Copenhagen, and map 2 gets underway. It will be Bank Team Liquid versus W7M. Team Liquid starting out on the attack, and a good start is going to be essential here, Des. They were too slow to get going on Skyscraper. It hurt them. They need to come out of the blocks quicker.
They do, and the big difference for this map, Tim, I think, with that Thatcher now being employed a lot, is because that Kaid is available on the other side. So expecting pretty much every round here to see the attackers bringing along the Thatcher. The one operator my eye goes straight to, though, is the Ying in with Lagonis. We've seen this operator throughout the competition. We saw it on the last map as well. Really, really powerful when it comes around to executes, and that's exactly what we're looking at here, is getting a couple of hatches opened up, dunking in a ton of those Candelas, and making magic happen. The Lion always going to be ever present, I imagine. Again, as with the WKB also available, you might see those two interchange throughout the map.
Drone in already being done by Nesk. Going to follow that in by the looks of things, looking to take control of Square Skylight. So that suggests there's going to be an attempt for entire map control here from Team Liquid. Get in there, sweep across the top, work all the way down. And the reason for that is that W7M have got that open area office held at the minute. We can see them, Nitros primed at the ready underneath, looking to maybe pick up a cheap Nitro kill to begin with.
Sure. Pretty common thing we've seen so many teams employing is normally the Iana on the entry, supported by a singular drone. I think back to FaZe, for example, and the cyber combo that we saw with Handy, for example, looking to drone him forward all the time. It's a very similar style here that you're seeing coming out from Liquid, looking to take some good control of this top floor with the support of the drone on the march on through. And Paolo's now going to join his buddy up here on the top floor, looking like a full map clear coming out for Team Liquid.
I think Philippox might just get one coming down the stairs here. I'm not sure if he's aware. He took out the drone. There is a bit of ping information coming out. So Nesk, I think, aware that there is one playing towards Beepers, and Liquid just looking to get the close down here. They know that there's one inside of elevators. Nade is going to have to drop away. That's it. Mid-floor giving up halfway through the round. Not bad from Liquid. Ooh, no, we do still have the Goyo inside of open, and it's Herds who's going to do the damage. Kicks things off with an opener. Gets down the hatch for safety. Nitro goes out, but no! Unsuccessful. Team Liquid, though, still on the back foot, 4 versus 5.
That would have been absolutely mega out of Herds if he turned that into a second kill as well, but just walks away with the 1-for-1 here. I'll say 1-for-1. C4 coming out, not finding a kill. The 1 kill, of course, coming across on towards Volts on the other side. So a good start for the side of W7M. I was going to say the big thing to watch in this round is where Lagonis plays. And very commonly what you'll see is an elevator drop coming in on the south side, whilst also seeing this kind of play coming out with the Candelas. It's a hot drop, though. It's a bit of a bait and switch here, Tim. They're not going to bother using Candelas, which is what W7M would have expected. They're just going for broke. And they've marched their way forward and already found themselves cutting down a couple. The W7M have to be able to react. They're losing out on these critical gunfights, and only 2 are left standing.
Herds has to hold on here. He's got himself in behind the bomb chassis. The first Candela comes in. He's able to shoot it out, takes his shot. Can't find them. Lagonis somehow works into a hail of fire to find the kill. Resets. He does get shut down. Palu down but not out, as you say. 1 versus 1 now. KZ looking for that final kill. Lagonis has been a great clutch player so far. He now knows where the man is. 7 versus 7. KZ says does to challenge, but Lagonis takes him down with 5 seconds left to go, and what an injection of pace and energy that Liquid put into this Bank map. Unstoppable in the late rounds. He just seems to have a knack of winning those 1vx situations, picking up the 1v1 there, just predicts KZ's movement around towards the soft wall, sprays him down and gets the kill. Really well played from Team Liquid. They take round 1 and give themselves an advantage on Bank.
All right, then. This is a bit of a different sight coming out by the looks of it, Tim.
Tellers and Archives.
Never normally see Tellers and Archives. It is the black sheep of the family. Never really gets pulled out between really any teams, to be honest with you. Sometimes it comes out as a bit of a crazy last-second pick, and teams are trying to surprise the other side. With the mirror on side, the dark, things like the cap can just feels to me like they're stacking up for a specific comp or setup here that they want to play against the side of Liquid. Now, I mentioned that you might see the Lion and the Decade being changed out interchangeably here throughout the map. That's exactly what's happening here. Resets across into the Amaru. Lagonis is picking up that kind of Roma Hunter responsibility of the Decade.
Paolo's going to be working the windows for the time being. Potentially opened up the wall. Yes, you can see the line of sight that's been gained all the way down to elevators, so Nerd is going to have to be careful. Paolo's actually dropped off the rappel, so he's not going to be there to hold that position, I don't think, but still the awareness needs to be in the mind of the Soulless, because overexpose yourself at your peril there. You can easily get taken down. He won't know that the threat isn't necessarily active.
Expecting any jump out today, Tim? The weather forecast say jump outs with a chance of rain?
I would say, yeah, good chance of a jump out potentially on this map as it is. Nesk's looking for Janitor. He's going to find Hertz, takes him down with a big opener. Resets, doubles down on it, finds one of his own 5 versus 3, and Liquid just sweeping across the top floor, Des, gaining that vertical control that they need, and they will start to push, pressure, and prod when it comes to Telephone Archives. Nesk, he's just hitting another level right now.
It's impossible to have your finger on the pulse of this series. It's been so back and forth so far, and that's not slowing down. Reset's just walking his way into a cow-can trap there for a second, but not quite finished off. It's a 5 versus 1, and KZ has got it all to do. Isn't even sat on site here, has found himself slowly worked away by the pressure. As a flash comes in, very little that he needs to do as Lagonis is going to stick this diffuser, and that's about the round all wrapped up for the side of Liquid.
KZ manages to find 1 in return, finds 2 in return. Nesk and Volps are taken off the board, but with the diffuser down, it's not time to get excited just yet. He knows that the man is dipping in and out of the small office, but he's got about 20 seconds left if he wants to do anything about this activated diffuser. Paolo steps out, pre-fires the man, gets the round, and it's 2-0 Liquid.
Better start, Tim. Looking how they were down 3-0 on the last map, had to call on the tactical timeout, everything was working against them. You guys are loving these phone signs so far. They've got W7M takes it being shown, Tim. Ooh. Which way do you lean in the series, actually?
Which way do I lean? At the minute...
Because earlier you said 3-1, but I didn't catch which way you saw it going.
I didn't. I just thought it'd be done in 4. I didn't commit.
I don't want to specify a team, but 4 maps are done.
I didn't commit, but I thought it might be done in 4. What I think is these teams know each other very well, and I think if one of them gets the advantage and is 2-1 up, then I think they're likely to finish that off at that point. I don't think they'll let the other one back into it.
That's it, that's it.
I think they've just got too much respect for each other. They'll know that they need to get it done.
Done in 4 because you don't want to go to 5.
Exactly that.
I mean, Liquid's hearts are broken, if you recall, all the way back at SI 2021. It was map 5 that was their undoing.
Between them
now,
and Happy.
The real battle for them was they played a series earlier in the day as well to qualify for that grand final, then had a best of 5. They went all the way to 5, and we all saw it. They were just completely out of steam once we got to map 5, whereas NIP still had a little bit left in the tank back then, and NIP were the ones to take home the trophy. A particularly emotional tournament as well, because Paolo, bless his heart and soul, lost his dad during that competition and carried on playing, saying he'd want me to keep on going for this, he'd want me to win it all. May have come a little bit late, 18 months on, but here he is with a good chance, and given how things have started on Bank, it may well continue.
Certainly a lot of people back in Liquid in terms of support for this one.
I'll give you credit for this one, Tim. You say this all the time. Can you imagine a future for Siege where Nesk and Paolo have not won an event?
Can you, like I say, can you imagine 5 years' time, we're still doing SI, we're still in, anything that's still going on, and you've got Nesk and Paolo that's, didn't win in their heyday. How can you have that discussion about best player?
I mean, Nesk has, I guess, back in 2018 in Atlantic City where they won the Pro League Season 7 finals, but it's a bit of a different era for Siege these days, and with Paolo on side, it's the pairing that we want to see really walk away as the winner.
Bolt's going to be pushing into open area, looks to find his man, cuts him down. Herds does find one at the same time, taking Nesk out, but it is still advantage Liquid 4 versus 3 as they continue to push and try and get a hold of this top floor. They've lost the book along with Nesk, which isn't going to be the end of the world here. I think he might have had some hard breach gadgets with him, which will prevent a little bit of hatch work, but they do still have Lagonis on the thermite, so they can get any sort of critical areas opened up.
Similar story here where we've had Nade holding inside of elevator and then dropping away. Paolo just being cautious that he might have baited it out and not fallen away this time, but sure enough, the man had left. And now they know that there's still one trying to challenge onto Marble Stairs. The number of times we've seen players just take a few steps up Marble, spin on a dime and get a kill onto a player that's being a little bit too relaxed, should we say, on the ground floor is ludicrous. Now, seeing a similar thing once again. Oops, he missed. That's not ideal.
One EMP is going to be lost as it does not find its mark. Second one does, and Lagonis will open that lobby hatch. This time it's not going to be a drop. Liquid have to do things differently here. You know, the reason the last play worked is that it was a little bit unexpected, so they can't just keep rinsing and repeating the same thing. They do have the man advantage. They need to think about exactly how they're going to push onto site, but you just know this lobby hatch is being intently watched.
That's exactly it. A really interesting late round. Castle came out and nade as well, blocking off the double window that looks towards Elevators. Elevators isn't going to be as effective as a position here. It does mean that they can get a bit more control on the drop, which is exactly what they've done. Resets is in, and so far it feels like W7M, I was about to say, aren't aware, but they sure are. It's going to be a swing out from JV92, who's down to 2 HP, but still walks away with the kill.
That's it, the important factor there was stopping that push from Bolt. Palu does manage to find Nade though, and that leaves W7M on a back foot. 9 seconds left to go. They're going to have to play for time here. Toxic vape canister and a nitro. Fantastic use of utility. 3 seconds. KZ just needs to hold on, but Volks, he's got the diffuser. He starts to put it down. He's got to find his man. KZ knows exactly where it's happening. Picks up the last kill, and W7M take round 3.
Getting themselves on the board, I think, is the important one there, Tim. Good for the mental, just to have something going for you. Still a pretty close one coming down to the 1 versus 1. I really thought for a second we were going to see Volks push into his old teammate and look to try and go directly for the kill, but opted to try and stick with the diffuser instead. 2-1 after 3 rounds. No tactical timeouts coming in here, as neither side has been 3-0, like we saw back on the previous map. So things can continue, at least for now.
JV92 there, we're just seeing on the replay, such a critical kill because otherwise that pressure would really have mounted from inside a vault, and the manpower swings the opposite direction, and maybe there's an opportunity then for Liquid to get that diffuser down with a little bit of cover in place. But as it was, the 1 versus 1 was ended by KZ, as we see there, and they get themselves at least on the board here on Bank, and just send Liquid a little message that this one isn't going to go all your way. So round 4 will be kicking off. In the preparation phase, we see we are up on the top floor. It's going to be a CEO hold. Des, you want to jump out? This might just be your moment.
It's the kind of rounds that you look for it. I mean, looking towards the lineup, really you only want the Jaeger to be the one committing that. The one obviously has the charging magnets that you don't want to see lost. Castle's not really a go-to jump-out operator despite his work being done. Once he has got those 4 barricades down, Mira's most definitely not going to, despite having the Vector because of the C4 and the Solis. I just feel a little bit too valuable to really be looking to throw away at the early stages of the round. The no jump outs in this round looks like to be the go-to response. On the attacking side for Liquid, I'm looking towards this Oster, Tim, and just thinking to myself, once again, it's execute heavy. It's focused maybe on the windows. They could try and push in through square. It does give them options, and it can make life really infuriating for the defenders when you can do very little about the Oster. She just walks at you with that shield.
Paolo just feeding that information in once again, just being cautious. We quite often see the bottom floor roamers when you've got a top floor site. The defenders just try and get one down there and keep themselves off the radar, but Paolo not allowing that to happen. It is KZ on the bottom floor, will be aware with the Solis scanner that he has been drawn down, may have gone down there to specifically pick up that drone, but it's going to actually be JV92 who manages to find the first kill. I think that might have just been above KZ there onto that marble stairs skylight that was just up above him, but it's a great kill to take Volks down, and still struggling to make a real impact on this. He's had his moments, Des, he's had some big kills, but not as dominant as we've seen recently.
I mean, this is the hard thing, right? You can look at every single player on these two teams and say, man, they're usually so good and popping off, yada, yada. When they come against each other, it's going to be really hard to keep on having that kind of performance, knowing there are players on the other side that can deliver just as well, if not better than you can. So it does become a bit of a map-based thing, I think, in this series, where you'll see individual players stepping up more so than others, but consistency might be really hard to build.
Leapok's going to be holding his position inside of sight. The castle barricade's going to allow him to peek onto any potential breach spots, but also the windows as well. Paolo looking for that vertical challenge. Always need to be careful. For some reason, the fights just feel that little bit harder in Siege when they're uphill. Quite often, the one with the height advantage will come out. The victor, Paolo, just managing to keep fighting, but does take a ton of damage along the way and needs to be very careful. It's only going to take 1 or 2 shots here to end his round for Leapox. He's going to take a lot of damage inside of sight as well. As Liquid, they start to probe, start to push forward, see if they can get inside. What a beauty from Nesk, knows exactly where the man is, and a second!
Ness is just that guy. If you give him an inch, he'll take a mile. Does he know about the man to his right? Yes, he does. No! Ness paints him a beautiful line, but does not finish off the player himself. Sure, it's put him down at least somewhat low. JV into a second. Makes it a 3K for himself as Reset's going to try and save the round.
Well to level things out there. The flank from the Jaeger particularly effective, able to pick up 2, and it really ended any hopes that Liquid had. You felt that things pivoted a little bit on that round as where Nesk didn't pick up the kill into Janitor. It just really sort of took the momentum out of that Liquid push. If he gets that, he continues on, they can move into sight, and all of a sudden maybe the flank coming from JV92. That's the opener that we thought.
This kill was great.
It was absolutely beautiful. And then the second just dips around, picks up the man on the left, nice and easy. But that one just loses that fight and makes life very difficult for Liquid from there. JV92 then able to hit them on the flank.
It's why on the attacking side, you'll see teams, regardless of where they're trying to attack from on that top floor, is they want to clear out Banana, which is the room out towards the west, make sure no player can hold the longer angles onto the windows. But you also want Janitor control for the exact reason you saw there. Just means that the player that wants to repel into CEO itself can do so relatively uncontested, unless, of course, you've got C4s on the downstairs. It's one of the reasons why I don't like that site particularly, Tim, and why I know a lot of pro teams don't either. Either way, we step away from CEO now for what may have been the last time, as we'll go through our usual 3-site rotation. It's going to be staff room and open area here in round 5.
We're going to see a similar defense from W7M to the one that we saw from them in Tellers and Archives. Going to try to hold on to that top floor. Wasn't particularly successful. Liquid were able in that round, I think it was round 2, they were able to sweep across that top floor and take an awful lot of control quite quickly. But this isn't really the end of the world for W7M at the minute. They've got themselves 2 rounds. They've leveled things up. If they can get this, you start looking at a guaranteed even half at least, and they're not doing too badly overall.
That wall we've just seen blown open normally gets reinforced off. So
I think he was just about to do it, but the arrow hit.
And then the Rotero's just like, no.
Zero having absolutely none of it. We've got 2 spare reinforcements on side, as we can see, so not use Nesk. He's again just walking his way up here. He's going to pick one up. They had absolutely no idea, does JV92, but Philippox is there for the trade. 4 versus 4 as Nesk once again. We've seen him be the instigator so many times today. He's the one going in, looking for those kills, looking to push his team forward, just like he energizes them between rounds. He's trying to do that within the server, but it's just not paying off at the minute.
I mean, that one there was a lack of information, a lack of droning really coming on through, and it's the same here again. I mean, they're thankful they get the trade on this one, but Philippox has done a lot of damage there. Without any drones onto it means for free, essentially, he could sit there and just pick off players. Admittedly, a mute jammer may have helped towards the effort of keeping him concealed from the drones, but it's a bit of a stinger. 3 left for the side of Liquid. Nade and KZ with it all to do.
KZ's thinking about moving on the flank here, using the Solar Scanner, but needs to be careful. The man ahead of him knows that this is coming, is prepared, is ready, but no, looks away at the wrong moment. I think he hears the noise, though. Moves back to his angle, but cut down by KZ. Resets manages to find Nade elsewhere. 1 versus 2. Diffuser not in hand at the minute, and Resets and Palu both sitting on a bit of chip damage, so they need to be cautious. If KZ plays this smart, could potentially get back inside a site with a single gunfight challenge here if he can win this out.
Oh, great read as well. Palu treading the same steps that nested earlier, a full sprint in through the door. Just gives everything over to KZ. It's been a bit of a mistake made in this round by Liquid twice now. Down to this 1 versus 1 as Resets wants to really force the issue. Flash is coming out, and KZ's going to get out of dodge. If he can play this clock, he can win it, but he wants the gunfight. Both down low. 1 bullet left for Resets, who finds the shot he needs, and Liquid take the round.
Got to ask questions of KZ there. It was, you know, absolutely fine to go after that gunfight, but he knew what the stakes were. If he loses it, it is round over. He was so close to getting it done, but there was an option for him to potentially try and get away and burn that clock. Back that he had a big target drawn on his back if he was to turn and run.
Whew, okay. Really thought W7M were ready to take that one over the line. That first kill there, it's a little bit of a stinger. They couldn't get drones inside because of the jammer on the door, like we remarked, could be there, but no drones coming in from the other side, no nades committed to destroy those jammers. And this is a really interesting point to note back from during the utility meta that is still somewhat relevant. Back when we had like 6 nades, sometimes even 8 being brought along, what teams would often do is use frag grenades to essentially burn away what was sat on the other side of doors. In that sort of sense, View Jammers became like ADSs. They were anti-nade utility because you had to commit them to get rid of them, especially on maps or sites where there's very thin, narrow doorways, you have single doorways rather than doubles, or there's not really any good ways to get into a room other than via that single doorway. But here, almost kind of going back to the ways of old where nades weren't used for that purpose, and they paid the price through it by losing 2 players. But Liquid persevere. They get us up to 3 and 2. And here, we've even got the 0 coming on side. Timea, operator that gets brought on this map more than any other, I'd wager, based on how some teams opt to play it. I know a couple of APAC teams play it, Sandbox are one of them. I know Koi, back when they were known as Rogue, used to play it a lot on this map as well, so much so that they used to draw 0 bans away.
Herds is going to pick up Volts with an early kill there inside of the first 25 seconds. Liquid maybe just switching off their focus a little bit at the beginning of the round there. Need to make sure that they're not giving away those early entry deaths, especially on the attack. It's going to leave them a little bit light-handed, and it's the Ying that's gone there. That's really some big utility to lose with the Candelas off the board, especially on a downstairs site. You'd expect them to use those to facilitate that final push.
Interestingly, it also meant they had no hard breacher on side. They were just leaning super heavily into 6 hard breach gadgets, as you can see at the top left corner of your screen. 2 of those offline, not really going to be a round loser for them. Still got 4 they can make use of to get rid of the hatches above sight. We mentioned the Hibana being banned away. That's why you start leaning into things like these hard breach gadgets. Normally at least 4 coming along for a basement attack.
Reset's just conscious of the main stairs, doesn't want to be getting pushed or flanked, but good work coming in from Team Liquid here. They've got themselves good map control. They're going to be looking to get this hatch open. They need the EMP to be coming in, which it will.
That timing is unfortunate for the attackers, but brilliant for the defenders.
It really was.
That catches it out in that, what, half a second that was available? Now have to go again and commit once more here as well. Do they time it up again here? Second EMP coming on top just in case, because they absolutely need that hatch open. But the problem now, I guess, is if JV has managed to... Well, he hasn't retrieved an electro core. Maybe there's still one hovering around somewhere. If he gets it, they could deny away at least one of those hatches, maybe the hallway one.
And it'd be a big play. Toxic Wave canister goes out from KZ, just going to be preventing any pressure coming from top blue. Steps up, how about that for pressure? As Recess manages to shut him down, they predicted that the push would come, and they took full advantage of it. The wall is soft ahead of them, so they're going to be looking to get that breach to open. Palu does have the soft breach charges in hand, so will be able to step up and open that wall. The angle now being held into sight by Nesk. 37 seconds left to go. Plenty of time left on the board for Liquid to get into a position to put this diffuser down.
Poor KZ walking into a Liquid firing squad at the top of stairs. They were ready and prepared, but they have been bleeding members here. Lost 2 so far. The Ying being the critical one. Palu finds one more. Spins for the second. That's what we're used to out of Palu, hitting some big shots. A 2 versus 1 for Leapox, the clutch god of the competition. Can he do it here against 2, Tim? The plant's going down from Nesk. Nesk and Palu as a pairing is exactly what you want. C4 over the top, they find one. They're going to have to push into this fight. He's going to sit in tight and just wait for the push to come in. Here it comes, a brief fire for Leapox. Cannot be stopped. He is the clutch master.
How many times is Leapox going to do it?
7 or 8 now?
Nitro in hand. We saw it yesterday. Nitro in hand, 1 versus 3, and he was able to stop the Sonics. Nitro in hand, 1 versus 2. He's able not only to stop Liquid, but to stop that combination of Nesk and Palu. They could not find him, could not win the gunfight, and W7M level things up 3-3 at the half, and I tell you what, Des, I think they might be happy enough with that.
Woo. I mean, again, it started as a bit of a cascade, a waterfall of Liquid, Tim. But W7M have fought their way back in here to keep things competitive. Again, making it a really unpredictable final. And straight away, a little bit of a change here. Fun fact, actually, this is from Fresh. Echo, that Lagonis has brought along here, is one of only 2 operators on the defensive side that have a less than 50% win rate. Yet here, clearly they feel it's a good opportunity to bring it along. Now, I think many would look back to the DPEC era of Echo, looking back to the Berlin Major, but I'm sure these teams may well remember, given FaZe were so close, yet so far from taking it away. It was a hurt for the LATAM region overall. But the usage that we saw out of DPEC on this operator to get out of drone holes, hop up high, to essentially drone in your entries around the map. Imagine, for example, a Solus being supported by the Yokais. That is ludicrously oppressive in terms of the amount of information coming out from those 2 in conjunction. So you may well see it coming through at least in one of these rounds in this second half.
Volk's just going to be taking out that drone, looking to push through, back in towards Tellers and Archives. Happy that he's denied that utility, that information that's going to be coming in. 5 drones down already, actually. Team Liquid doing pretty good there on the drone game, but KZ looking to push in aggressively. Palu forced to drop away, and it just says, you know, everything. You've got the Echo there for the late round, but otherwise the Solace, the Mozzie, it is all about trying to delay that top floor push, trying to stop W7M being able to get into the map and get comfortable.
And Twitch on the march once again. Main thing to note here, of course, is there is no mirror on the other side. Back, I'll tell you what, they see everything. Get out of here, the red pings are on you. That's your sign to run, they're trying to scream. And slowly they will drop away one by one, but not before Parlo has domed one and got out of dodge. He's chasing for the kill and being contested on the reverse. KZ takes a little bit of chip damage, but keeps his life, as do all the members of Liquid. Great exit back to site for Team Liquid.
Yeah, that's pretty good from them. They've got themselves a minute and a half wasted. They're able to start, you know, thinking about site now. They can take up their angles. They can think about where this push is likely to come from. We've even got a little bit of remodeling going on. Reset's taking the opportunity just to create that rotation. And those can be smart plays because the attackers will have drawn outside. They'll have an idea, and in the attacker's mind, they might be thinking they don't have a rotation through to Vault, and now things have changed. It's always shifting. It's one of the beauties of Siege. KZ is going to send in the Gemini decoy, not going to find too much information there. I think was more interested about what utility was waiting for them in that plant spot.
What's interesting is there are no C4s in the back pocket of Liquid here. No Goyo on side, just really looking towards the 3 smoke canisters of resets for a little bit of denial. Of course, assisted by the Echo Yokai drones, but will that be enough? I mean, the answer is it's building up to be enough as we get towards these last 30 seconds. You can chunk through a good few with the smoke, the first canister coming out here. It does give a very narrow window that W7M can play inside of, but Felipox is looking for the backstab. The barbed wire may just give him away, and you can see why Paolo has opted for the barbed wire over the C4 in this instance. But it's whether or not they can get away with this execute.
4 versus 4, 25 seconds left to go. It's time for W7M to start moving and move behind that nade. They will. Nade is thinking about getting dropped down. Manages to find one before he does. 3 versus 3. There we go. They move on into sight. Kill is found by JV92. They can start putting the diffuser down. Nade is on the cover. 1 versus 2. As you say, this could be ended by Lagonis, but at the minute, Volks is providing that information. Loses the fight on the hatch. The plant will be stuck. It's a 1 versus 1 effectively as Nade goes down along the way. It's all up to Lagonis versus JV92. Lagonis finishes off the 1, takes away the information. Can he get his other man on his feet? It could be a play, Des.
He's trying to force the 1 versus 1 here, and for a second I thought we might see JV full sprint towards the hatch, but Liquid, they've got a bit of time to play with here. They get the res. It's a 2 versus 1 once more, but they've got to be able to find a player. 1 found straight away, and JV!
Responses are all in the favour of Team Liquid pretty much, but it must be very difficult for Liquid, like you said. They keep getting themselves into these positions, Des, where they're almost winning the round.
Yeah.
And they just can't get it done at the end. JV92 there, just playing that absolutely beautifully, keeps himself tucked nice and tight in. You know, you think about that situation in your own games at home. How do you work it? What do you do? And it is just about finding the best angle that you can, the most cover that you can, the best security, and JV92 did exactly that. So Team Liquid, they're going to change things up, head up to the top floor. It's going to be CEO, W7M on the attack, take the first round, and that for me is a little bit of a worrying sign for Liquid.
10 seconds to insertion.
May well build that way. I mean, we saw the almost comeback denied on the previous one. It was Liquid who started ahead on here. So again, it's so difficult to call which way this may go. Looked on the attack inside this time around. We did see the 1 Oster attack come out of Liquid back in the first half, and I imagine we're going to see a similar intent coming out of the side of W7M. You've got the Oster looking maybe to push inside a square. At the minute, though, has spawned out towards ATM, so it's more of a west side push. But I think you might see him go towards square, get on the windows, for example, look to work his way up from there. Meanwhile, on the other side of things, it's Nade trying to be a little bit cheeky coming up through sewer here. He may well be able to bite someone in the backside.
Certainly could do. He's moving quite quickly, only 30 seconds into the round. And again, if Liquid, this is one of my concerns. If Liquid aren't on top of these little plays that with a little bit of confidence W7M might start looking for, it could turn around very quickly and they find themselves facing map point.
The real stinger as well as the KB on side. So when Nade starts feeling like he's getting in towards dangerous territory, you hit them digits on the phone Everyone else starts ringing on the side of Team Liquid, and before you know it, Nate can either find a freebie or knows that ground is clear to move through. Being quite conservative with it so far, so looking instead to get a little bit of visibility towards the site itself. Bolts to fall early on the Solus.
It's going to be the opener for JV92, as you say. That is going to signal a little bit of a push through. Herds looking to get pushed up to the top of square. What a kill! Absolute beauty, knowing that Nesk was going down there, read him like a book, Des.
Absolutely did. And the thing is, you see those kind of kills, you think, wow, they just knew. Sometimes players can watch angles like that for 60 seconds and see absolutely nothing. Other times they're rewarded straight away. Plants going down, and it's been completed, Tim. This is going to be panic stations for the side of Liquid. They're getting in and trying to sit the defuse. They're still in the 2 versus 3, and they might just get away with this. Will they get there in time? He's holding it all the way through! And Liquid, they stick the disable and take the round.
Wow, Palu showing some real nerve and experience there to step in, disable that diffuser and just say, you know what, I'm sticking this.
Timeout for Liquid. Even winning that round, they knew that it came down to being a little bit ropey. Letting them in with the plants. Time for a bit of a breather. I'm not sure he ever will, I'm afraid. Still. A good execute out from W7M, and I honestly thought despite it being a 3 versus 2.
Such an important round for Liquid to win that one.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly thought W7M would win it as well. They'd have someone on window, for example, or have some angle below, but didn't quite have enough prep, I feel, for that plant to go down. It was more of a, right, we're in, we can get a plant down, let's get away with it. And I agree with you, really good composure being shown by Palu there to get in and show the pros don't fake.
The thing, this is one of the problems sometimes with playing, you know, in an opportunistic way like that. You see the opportunity on site. I think we can get this diffuser down, guys. Right, let's go for it. But like you said, as maybe just not quite prepared, didn't have the foundation there to be able to watch that afterwards, to be able to prevent them. And that's experience coming through from Palu to say, you know what, yes, they've got the diffuser down, but there's no way they're in position to be able to cover this. So I'm just going for it.
I think because the left side double CEO wall was fully reinforced off, they knew that the only real threat could come to that from either inside a site, which is what Liquid had control of, or from the windows. And if they knew that windows were clear at that point because the Oster was already repelled in to get the plant down, who's left to stop them? Again, you either need to be in below, you need to have that wall open up to give a long angle on towards square, or be inside of site itself, and that just simply wasn't an option. So a very good read in the moment coming out of Liquid, I feel, that has rewarded them with all things being pulled square. But the W7M are back again. They've got the Ossa here onside once more, and the Ying is now joining the party too.
Gonna be open area as Team Liquid look to take advantage of the defensive side, get themselves another one. Liquid, I feel like, could do with just sort of running away with this map now, really, from their position, get it done, and get themselves onto the third map, which is Chalet in W7M's choice. And it just really sends that message to them. They don't want this to be too close. They don't want it to be going to overtime, for example. W7M will feel far too confident on the back of that, given that it is Liquid's map choice. Now, W7M droning out that main lobby extensively, looking to potentially move in. I don't know if they'll head up the spiral stairs or not, looking to get that top floor control as well, or whether maybe they just try to sweep through into Tellers and Archives from that position.
Drone work coming in through square. No Solus on the other side this time that may have got a read on this. I spoke earlier on about Solus obviously being a fantastic drone hunter, but it's also the information that knowing where these drones come from provides you. You see 2 or 3 coming through square, you know full well there's about to be 2 or 3 players pushing in through square, and that is where the start of the attack will come from. Still looking in towards the Pulse and the Echo as the main intel providers in this round for the side of Liquid. Didn't unfortunately see those Jokais being all that useful last time round when it came round to the dying 10, 15 seconds. The Pulse, though, could make a difference with that C4 in back pocket.
Certainly could do. Nesk at the minute managing to just not find anybody above. He hasn't picked up any of those heartbeat sensors yet. He knows they're up there because the sledge is opening the floor up. So it is going to be a battle that may come slightly later in the round. KZ, I think, aware of that presence underneath, just being particularly cautious, playing as much as he can on top of the hard surface inside of the corridor, opening walls up to allow floors on the inside to be opened up. But happy for the time being that he's safe there. That's going to be potentially important in the late round. The Yokai just being spotted out and taken down.
They're so terrified of the potential C4s coming up as well. Up on the desks, expecting it, but so far not happening, and there it is, that C4 coming out. They still have one more in back pocket for Palu to make use of. No doubt supported by Nesk, bringing calls over from that cardiac sensor. Does he really consider hopping in window here and just charging in? It's always a risk because of the floor to the right-hand side or the wall that's been slightly opened up. You can be spotted without any ability to challenge back, but just put you in a really powerful position to net a kill or two.
Certainly would do. Palu very busy watching the verticals. He knows exactly where the man is, but somehow doesn't pick up the kill. KZ gets away with it, and knowing that Palu's looking up at the ceiling, he takes the opportunity near to drop and manages to find one. JV92 doubles down, and W7M are taking control of site here, Des. They're going to start to throw that diffuser down. Nesk comes on the flank, manages to get one, can't stop the plant. 1 versus 3, cut down by Herds, and that's going to be W7M taking the lead again.
That W7M bounce back, Tim.
They feel unstable.
Copenhagen, do you agree? I'm going to say no, Tim, based on that reaction. But so far, they are proving it. They won first map. They're up 5 and 4. Strong second half so far. And again, it comes back to what I always touch on. You just don't know what you're going to get until you get into that second half. But it does feel like W7M have kind of awakened here. Couple more rounds and that's them 2-0 up, and this could end up being a pretty fast Sunday.
Yeah, absolutely. Herds knowing exactly there where Nesk was pushing from towards the end of the round. As I said at the beginning of the game, you know, we've got to remember SI 2021. Liquid were effectively 2-0 down on the scoreboard at least. They'd only lost 1 map. There was a map advantage that day under the 2021 format. But against NIP, Liquid were 2 maps down and they were able to run it back in and get themselves into a map 5. It is something that is certainly in their locker. You know, even with those roster changes, you look at a player like Lagonis, let's not forget Mexico. When he was on Team 1, they were all but out. They had to finish on a specific scoreline against Cyclops to have a complete repeat of the match, a replay, which they did, and they were able to, they were hanging on by a thread in the tournament and went on to win it. So they've certainly got the pedigree there of being able to pull those results back out of difficult circumstances, but you just feel like it's not so much about Liquid as it is W7M if they get on to 2-0. They've just been absolutely clinical and ruthless so far this event, and I'm not sure that they'll be reeled back in.
Lagonis just poking his head around Garage here. In fact, there's 2 players down there, I think, now committing to a 2 versus 1, expecting a push to come in through Garage, but W7M have sent absolutely no one down that way so far. They're much more focused on being out towards this east side. KZ leading the charge in through square. Hoping to get a little bit lucky on a push up here, not knowing that one has just dropped away in front of him. I love how he aimed at that drone then, by the way, instinctively. Yep. Just ready to clear it out.
So easy to do. It's so
is.
easy to do. Volks is going to drop down the elevator, but cut off by KZ, who picks him up trying to move across. He knows that there was a second there playing around beepers, but he's not going to push that too much. Get back up to the top of Marble Stairs. Out comes the drone. And again, it's something that W7M have done very well so far. They like to gain that information and go in knowing what's in front of them, but Resets, he knows what's in front of him as he takes down JV92 with a headshot, levels things up 4 versus 4. But Herds, he's on the chase here. He's looking for the man. He misses.
No way!
And somehow Nesk manages to escape down the hatch.
You best go buy a lottery ticket, Tim. You don't get that luck every single day to survive that full spray coming out from Herds, who just whiffed a couple of critical shots. A real stinger. Now you're going to see W7M getting set up for this execute that we've seen so many times, to push in through the hatches. And that real question now starts to come onto the side of Liquid of where does this push actually come from? Going to get the server hatch opened up, the lobby one opened up as well, and that really is going to be the summary of these pushes.
That's it, that's the attack largely done there. And
did we see the open hatches get opened up, or did JV die before then? Okay, both are open.
Both
Fine.
are open.
Okay, that's
the
good.
The attack at this point, W7M have done everything almost that they need to. They've left the elevator hatch, which would suggest that at this point that they're just not going to be using it. They need to think about getting some kills on site and gaining access into that plant spot, but the only kills on site are going to be Lagonis on this angle. Picks up one inside a garage, and what a day he's having today. 2 beautiful kills here in round 10, and that puts Liquid in a commanding lead. 4 versus 1 now, effectively, as Nib will find himself down but not out. For Leapox, the clutch master, but he's going to need something extra special with 20 seconds to go.
He's got, I was about to say, he's got to kill 4, and the diffuser is on the hatch. So even if they had diffuser there, it's a lot to have to achieve, but it's all but impossible when you look at it any other way. Timeout now coming in for W7M. Things are pulled all square at 5-5 once again. These games are staying pretty tight, Tim, and I can't help but think back to what happened in Berlin. 68 of 75 rounds, every map going either to 7-5 or through to overtime. This one feels like it's starting to get pretty close to that sort of scoreline.
It does feel very similar. It does feel very...
I need to go back and check exactly what the scores were, to be fair.
I think, from memory, I think 3 of the rounds went to overtime, 3 of the maps went to overtime, as you say. I think one of them might have finished in...
One was an 8-6, yeah.
One finished in 8-6. Right, we see the highlights coming through from round 10 then, as Liquid managed to level things up once again. Next round is an important one. Whoever gets it has the opportunity to get the map done in regulation time, avoid the overtime that Des is sort of willing into existence at this point. We've had very little overtime.
Feed it to me, Tim.
To be fair, we've had very little overtime. I don't think I've even had opportunity to say the line.
No. Say the line, Tim.
Say the line.
So it was 8-7, 7-4, 8-7, 7-5, 8-7.
Yeah, it's 3 games over.
So really what let things down was the 7-4 and 7-5 for it to not go any further.
Yeah.
Insane.
As you say, I think this one is far from done. There's a lot of siege to be played yet today. We're going to play another round right now, round 11, and it is going to be 2 defences left for Team Liquid, but 2 that need to be successful if they don't want to go to overtime here on Bank, which I'm sure they won't. It could be a really dangerous prospect for them. As I say, from 2 maps up, you do get the feeling that maybe W7M will be able to close it out from there. It's going to be open area this time for Team Liquid. We saw this back in round 9. It was a W7M win, so Liquid rolling the dice here a little bit, Des. They are going to have to get this one done. They can't go back to CEO, so it was a choice of tellers or open area. They've gone for open.
I've always seen like a pretty interesting comp coming from W7M here. It feels like quite a slow one. No like heavily designated entry. You know, we're seeing things like the Iana coming out. That's your go-to bread and butter pusher, it feels these days. But instead here, you've got like the Flores on side who goes very slow. The Ossa generally is quite slow. Philippox playing on the Capital, more focused on the utility. So really looking towards KZ or JB92 to be the entries. And we do see some entry players bring out things like the Ace, because the AK-12 is such a good gun and brings so much to the team. But it's definitely a little bit unconventional as far as competitions go.
Philippox, once again, we've seen this push from W7M, just getting the Capitao in towards main lobby and looking to get aggressive and take that area. Potentially, as I said, looking to move either up the spiral stairs or into tellers and archives. For the time being, the work has been done by the Ace. Selma charges detonating, going to provide views all the way down the long corridor on the top floor, but also as well into the Beepers area, the marble staircase. It just prevents a lot of rotations being safely made by Liquid.
Relentless droning coming out from W7M once again. 3 drones just racing across the top floor and the ground floor. See exactly what it is that's happening, and 2 players rotating their way through the basement here. I like it when we see this kind of play coming together too, when you have the Solus joined by someone else. Either to look for the 2 versus 1, or just to kind of reverse entry. Oh, there are 2 drones coming in here. That must mean a player is about to follow. Point your gun that way and we'll hope for the best. So it was both the Thorn and the Solus working together there. Bolts and Resets stacking up as a pairing. Others largely holding around site with C4 still in back pocket. 3 of them to use here, Tim. And that could be 3 dead W7M players.
Paolo's just able to see what's going on through that window, using the mirror window that was in between him and that location. Keeps the nitro for the time being. And
Resets.
Reset steps up and gets a huge double at the top of the square. Skylight Lagonis, he's in position to assist Paolo as well. You feel like Liquid have got this site locked down at this point, and for all the vertical control that W7M might have, it's just really not paying dividends at the minute.
Not. Still bleeding out. Resets is on an absolute tear. Get the man some ice. Found 3 for himself. Paolo into a 4th. Liquid, it feels, might be about to pull us up to match point, which means things start to then get closer to that 1-1 scoreline that we mentioned. But Tim, we get away from the air quotes favourites of these maps and we start stepping in towards more precarious territory, with Chalet being that first one.
That's it. You look at those last 3 maps and you start looking at maps that either of these 2 teams can win. And you know there will be a real effort and opportunity for both of them. KZ 1 versus 5 at the minute. The only thing he can really stop at this point is a flawless round. He will do that as he manages to take down Resets. But it's that man Lagonis once again really stepping up for his team in these 2 maps. Will close out the round, and it is a map point opportunity for Team Liquid.
I feel like I'm needing Nesk as a personal hype man in my life.
Just to follow you around and just scream, shout and hype you up in general.
Yeah, I mean, you could do anything like turn the kettle on and I feel
yeah,
like...
Des, you made a sandwich, let's go!
Exactly, yeah, or he loses marbles that you're turning the kettle on or something like that. You locked your front door tonight, well done! You know, that kind of
got
thing.
it, you got it!
Everyone needs a bit of Nesk in their life. So far, W7M having it in a lot of theirs. Marching through a good few kills, but really it's feeling more and more like a team effort as this game goes by. Resets in that round with those 3 kills that he picked up, moved himself up to double digits. Parley was already there, Nesk is one off, Lagonis is one off. These are the kind of games that I love when it doesn't come down to 1 or 2 players just going nuclear and making massive hero plays, when it does become a genuine team effort to get a victory.
I think ultimately you've got to look at this and say if Liquid, you know, aren't successful here, it really is not down to effort, is it? You know, we can already see 2 maps in, poured everything into this so far. And I am interested to see, as the game goes on, you know, how much of a factor fatigue might play. You know, when you're getting close rounds like this, close maps like this, and it's being hard fought all the way, you've got a lot of energy in the team, you've got that hype, it takes its toll. You know, you've mentioned the Berlin Major already. I think that match ran to about 5.5 hours. That is a long time to be up there at that sort of energy level for these players, and to be focused and to be concentrating. You know, so that is another factor that could play into things the later this goes.
Throats were knackered, the players were knackered, everyone was just tired come the end of it, even the crowd, I'm sure, were exhausted after a very emotional 5.5 hours, as we mentioned as well. It took all the way up to the 15th round of map 5 to determine the overall winner. Screamer of a series that I'm sure many will never forget, and this one could yet build to become a similar series. Focusing here and trying to get El Canto opened up. Now we are not the real Canto, I'm referring to the wall. That'd be a bit gruesome if you're on about the real Canto. But with that being opened up, it means the player that plays on the window can see all the way down through White Corridor, and it makes it very restrictive for the defenders to be able to move around on this top floor. They're going for it once again here, but the electrification is back online. I think they've messed it up, Tim.
I think they have. I'm not sure if the first one was clear enough.
Again.
I think it was. They're going to have the EMP go. Yep, they're just in fact tricking it. They've gone a little bit lower this time, so they will get the job done. Volks, though, has wasted half of the round there, Des, and a lot of utility in keeping that wall closed.
Great fireball, but Volks is still
not good enough.
It's so close, though. Okay, no, just stay. I think you're okay. As elsewhere, it's KZ to fall first. That should already done his duty in this round. All the EMPs have been burnt, so not a world ender to see him taken off the board. Do they know that Volts is still here is the real big question. 2 quick kills coming in for W7M as Felipox on the Monty starts his march forward. Now they know. Time to run.
Yep, that's time to go. Felipox needs to start grabbing some territory here up at the top of the stairs. But as you say, as soon as he steps out, they really know that they've got him stuck. But the thing is, he can play that position, can Volks, because they're also going to have to clear him. And Monty's really not the operator to be doing that. 45 seconds left to go. Herd's pressuring from the window. Nade's got the diffuser in hand. He's thinking now about potentially getting into sight to put that plant down.
Woo. The opportunity is here to do it here and now, otherwise overtime is guaranteed. It does feel like the orange wave of W7M are marching on forwards, but Nesk, sharp as ever, finds one.
Manages to escape going over the top rail there, down into the square skylight area. Nade, no option but to push in. Finds the beauty through into Janitor. There's an opportunity for him to put the diffuser down here. He's got the support of the Monty. Could potentially take action there from one side. He's going to bring those bullets in like a magnet. Volks has not been held. It was close, but he managed to get across. Diffuser will be planted. 2v2, trying to play onto the Monty. This is not going to be easy. He's got Volks in support, but they have to work and deal with this shield. But then on top of that, they've got V92.
He's in the corner. They've really got to bully him out here, but no! Nesk has been down! No! Liquid so close, but W7M, they hold on and bring it back. Overtime abound, Tim.
We are going to overtime, Des. 6-6 on the scoreboard. 7M.
These are getting creative. I'm enjoying this.
I love the, you know, the educational sort of scientific element that's coming into him. You know,
incorrect science about solids earlier.
Well, yeah, a little bit, but at least, you know, we're sharpening up now. We're coming into evaporation. We've got that one right.
What about condensation? Where else can you go with this?
I'm sure they'll think of something.
Vaporized?
I'm sure they'll think of something.
Many things. That is so unfortunate. I can't believe it. I think even they looked a little bit surprised they managed to get that one over the line. But it does send us through to our first overtime of the series. Staff and open area is where Liquid are going to start out their defenses.
If we have a look at how that has gone previously for Team Liquid, they've lost it back in round 9, won it in round 11. So it's been a 50-50 sight for them. They're going to be looking to get it locked down this time, of course. But top floor is largely where it comes down to. They were able to hold on to it for a little while last time, but then ultimately, you know, kills came on a little bit of a flank. We had Lagonis working from underneath as well. W7M really weren't able to make that vertical pace. So for me, if you're Liquid, burn as much time as you can on the top floor and then give it up, fall back and force W7M to win the round.
Only the 2 C4s in back pocket. Impact's already well burnt out here. Fortunately, there's no Osler on side. The attackers, again, going back towards what have been, for me, at least 2 crucial operators throughout, not just this map, but arguably the previous as well. It was banned away in the last one, so didn't really get it seen, but throughout the tournament has been used a lot in the KB and the Ying. Really running the field, it feels so far, across the Copenhagen Major. W7M expecting a little bit of aggression from Liquid, but they're just not giving them anything, Tim, not taking the bait.
No, not at all. Liquid won't do, you know, they know ultimately, I think they'll have learnt the lesson from last round, which was they were able to hold on even after vertical control was lost, so they don't really need to sort of give anything away too much. Volks will be picked up there on the drone. He knows it's up there with him somewhere, will find it, so he knows he needs to move, but for the time being, he's wanting to hold on to this position. Needs to be careful though, the challenge comes in. He does manage to do some chip damage to Herds, but takes some himself, and he's going to be pushed from 3 directions here. Volks, unlikely to survive. He's going to be shut down in CEO. That's a meeting that he didn't want as Herds manages to find that opening kill.
No, unfortunate there, being pushed from 2 sides and was basically taking a gunfight on 2 fronts. Flicking between the 2, W7M basically playing with their food up on the top floor. Malusi obviously got moved to being a 1-speed recently, after being a 1-speed for the longest time. Not really going to be able to get out of dodge there in any quick form or with any real silence about it either. It does give that top floor control over to the side of W7M, but they've only got 75 seconds left to play with, Tim.
As I said last time around, they weren't really able to make it pay having the top floor. They didn't really find many kills. They worked as many angles as they could, but Palu and Lagonis were able to stay safely inside of sight to the end of the round. That's an unusual one. Resets is going to pick up the kill with the Razor Bloom, and that is somebody just staying for too long in the wrong spot.
Could have been trying to walk through a Banshee, could have been going through barbed wire, could have been anything. I'm sure we'll find out on the replay in a little bit, but it's unfortunate to lose the 2 nades that were in back pocket as well as the Iana. JV92, absolutely nuclear so far. This map continues his own march forward.
Palu just keeping himself deeper inside of sight. He knows that there could be the potential for a hatch drop. He wants to be there, ready to spray it down should that happen. Nesk aware as well inside of the small office that he could be facing the same fortune. He's going to be holding on to that position. JV92's managed to walk in real close. I don't know if Nesk's away. He's going to be saved by the top breach charge, and JV92 will finish that kill, but 10 seconds left to go. They need to get moving here. Nate gets one, JV92 the other, and W7M in rapid fashion at the end of the round get 3 kills and close out the first of 3 overtime rounds.
There was a stat I was looking at earlier that when it came to this series, there are only 2 players that aren't positive on KD. That's JV92 and Resets. We saw Resets pop off like mad earlier with that 3K in the earlier round, and JV92 is currently on 16 kills, I believe. That pretty much neutralizes everything out, and that both sides have fully positive players in terms of KD throughout the whole.
I've never seen that one before.
No, that's a new one. I love it.
I don't mean the skin, I mean opening an alpha pack.
On stream.
On stream in the Major, that's impressive.
The day someone does that and we get a black ice coming out of it.
Oh, imagine.
Oh, the scene.
Imagine, the roof would be raised.
Keep trying, get some more packs on the go. Everyone in the crowd can just take it in turns, logging into their account and seeing what's left.
We need one of those people that saves them up.
Helby.
Like yeah.
Didn't he have like 800
Helby's, I'm going to say Helby, I'm sure, was at 4 figures at some point.
Honestly, it's ludicrous. All right then, round 14. Could be the last. W7M on the defense of the basement. Liquid tasked with trying to heist, or pull off a heist, inside of the basement, inside of the vaults, and walk away with the round win to force us all the way through to 15. Once again, no hard breacher on side, just 3 operators with hard breach gadgets in their back pockets.
Last time around, W7M on the defense were able to win 2 out of 3 times on this site, so certainly have their work cut out of them here, Liquid. They were only able to get 1 win and they're struggling to keep a hold on operators like Nade, Herds, putting numbers up, but KZ and JV92 are the real deadly threats. 28 kills between the two of them. They are absolutely flying, and from Liquid's point of view, need to be targeted.
It's kind of the battle, because we mentioned in the semi-final yesterday that it was Nesk and Volts that were absolutely popping. Paulo in that interview just said, I didn't have to do anything, right? My team are just nuts like these two. They carried us through, there's no problem. But this was also remarked throughout this series. You can't be the superhero every single map. It may well fluctuate throughout the course of the series. Here, we're going to start seeing Liquid get set up for their execute, opening up these hatches, but needing an EMP to get one of them opened up at the very least. So waiting on Parley to get his way across, and here he is, breaching his way through the wall in towards open area and staff. Sure enough, open they shall.
Opening the hatches at the 1:30 mark, not bad at all. Liquid should have plenty of time. I
Need
think
one
just
more.
hanging around there, yes, certainly does need another EMP to come in from Parlu. Going to be waiting for a moment though.
I don't want to be cynical, but this is wasting a lot of time.
It is wasting a lot of time. You could have had both of these hatches open at about the 1:10 mark. Parlu is now going to move in to do that. Just being cautious of potential cam traps, but he's going to support Elevator before that open area, and this has taken
Volt's
now
been
30
here
seconds.
for a long time.
30 seconds with Volts doing nothing.
I don't want to be too cynical, because they can still hit with this. It's not the end of the world, but like you say, that was a good 30-40 seconds that Volts was stood around, not on drones, not really doing anything, because he was waiting to get things opened up. But now that it's done, they can start thinking about the execute. 50 seconds still to pull this off, and I'm wondering if we're going to see, as commented earlier on, that Ying focusing on going in through lobby and everyone else trying to drop in through elevators. A bit of a bait inside of Orange there, making use of the first Candela, but Herds needs to be unseated.
He will
Right,
be
there we go.
He's going to be taken down by the nade, down but not out. It's almost certainly going to be finished. Ness knows with the trail of blood that the man was down, goes down, finalises the kill with a headshot. 5 versus 4 now as Liquid begin the push on into sight. Resets is going to join Parlu, but they didn't spot JV92, and he manages to take down Resets. Parlu able to wheel around and fire the trade. It's 3 versus 3, 10 seconds left to go. Advantage Liquid, evened out once again, 2 versus 2. Lagonis is planting, it's all up to the cover of Volts.
Oh, that's C4! That could be the one, but no, it misses the shotgun! It's gonna find the down! W7M